It's an honor for me to be here today and make this feature presentation for the Producer Advisory Council meeting 2018. I spent a lot of my time in Verona, and I really enjoy coming to Verona. We have great faculty, we have great support staff, and we have great clients. And you're supporting us today by being here, giving us advice on the research and extension programming that we're doing in this area. And I really appreciate you being here today. My presentation topic that has been given to me is the impacts of agronomic research in East Mississippi. And I want to spend a little bit of time on that, and I'll deviate in a few minutes, but I do want to spend a little bit of time on the impacts of the agronomic research, and really this covers more than Mississippi. If you can look at this graph, and I want to talk a little bit about in terms of when Dr. Buehring came to North Mississippi Research and Extension Center. At that time it was Northeast Experiment Station. He came in 1971. The yield of soybeans was 23 bushels in 1971. As you can see, in 2017 it's 53 bushels, which is a 130% increase. I want to show the same information on corn, which is more dramatic. In corn in 1971, the average yield was 40 bushels. And in 2017, the average yield is 190 bushels an acre. That's a 375% increase. Cotton, dramatic, but not quite as dramatic as the other commodities. 650 pounds in 1971 and 1,100 pounds in 2017. Now, I know there's a lot of factors that contribute to increases in yield other than just our research and extension programming at Mississippi State University. But I know we had a drastic, a lot of input that made a drastic increase in these production figure numbers. What I really want to talk about today is 4 decades of service from Dr. Normie Buehring. Dr. Buehring was hired to come to North Mississippi in August of 1972. And during that time, he's made a significant, he made significant inputs to the profitability of a lot of clients in North Mississippi. He came here from Corn City, Texas. He had a BS degree from Texas A&M University, an MS in agronomy from Oklahoma State University, PhD in crop science, or weed science really, Oklahoma State University. And then he became assistant professor in agronomy here in North Mississippi in August of 1972. Dr. Buehring has a total research and grants and contracts of $9,449,004. He has over 400 publications and professional presentations, numerous honors and awards. One of the most significant awards was in 2015 when he received the American Society of Agronomy Career Agronomic Research Award. He's a member of a large number of professional societies also. I'm not going to spend a lot of time today on his research output, which is very, very significant. And you can see by the total numbers that I just read that it has had a very significant impact on the agronomy in Northeast Mississippi, as well as Mississippi, as well as the Southeast, as well as the entire United States. But here's some of his research experience. So just a list here. Control methods of various woody plants, evaluation of herbicides and various compounds for selective weed control in cotton, corn, and soybeans. Tillage research for optimum wheat, corn, cotton, and soybean production with various cropping systems. Production management research with wheat and soybeans and intercropping and other double cropping systems. Winter legumes and conservation cropping systems, corn, cotton, and soybean yield response to seeding rates using vacuum planter technology, then a variety of evaluations of cotton, corn, soybean, sorghum, and wheat. When Dr. Buehring came to Verona, He was the first PhD that ever been hired here. He had to develop his own laboratory. He used an old milk barn, a dairy barn that was here, and he converted that to a laboratory and used that for years. I want you to notice that that fancy desk, that Normie is sitting in, right there on the right, that was an Army surplus desk that was acquired by the superintendent. The chair that he's sitting in was also a surplus property chair. At that time, we acquired a lot of equipment and that was used in our research activities from surplus property, and that's where that desk and chair came from. This is a picture that was made in 1974. It's Dr. Buehring and his wife Carol, along with myself and my wife. I came here to Verona in 1973, so Normie had been here about a year when I came. But we developed a great relationship. Dr. Buehring had a great program already going on when I got here. I was hired to manage a dairy replacement center. Normie was my mentor, and what that really means is that he could tell me what I could get by with and what I could not get by with. We shared a labor pool, and we had very few disagreements over the years. We just worked together really well, and we've been friends all since the time that I first met him. Normie also, I was talking about the surplus property. Normie had experience with that surplus property that I wanted to tell you about. Our superintendent at that time really believed in surplus property. He had acquired just so much surplus property that we had to clean up some buildings around here. We decided to stack it outside in an area on the backside of the hill land. And one day, Normie and I decided we'd just burn a bunch of that surplus property. Well, all at once, here comes the superintendent into the office telling us we had a fire. We got to go put out the fire. It's a fire. So I immediately told him Dr. Buehring had set the fire. No, I really didn't do that. But we both went down and put the fire out, even though we wanted it to burn all of that surplus property because it was just a pile of junk. This is a picture of Dr. Buehring and Pete Albritton, the superintendent at that time. When Normie came to North Mississippi, there was very little chemical weed control on the station. And what this meant was when Normie started using chemical weed control, every plant that died was blamed on his weed control efforts around the station, or said that was a drift issue. At one time, we had even banned the use of chemicals on the hill land, and it had to only be used down in the plot land in the bottom because so much was blamed on his chemical weed control. Early on, Dr. Buehring lived in a house away from the main station here. It was across Highway 45. It was some community development property. And that house had a yard that was just completely infested with weeds. But it had a Bermuda grass base on it. Dr. Buehring decided to spray those weeds and spray that yard. And he used MSMA. And of course, if you ever used MSMA, you know that it looks like it's burned right after the use of it. So the superintendent told Dr. Buehring, said, "You have ruined your yard. You've killed all the grass in your yard." Well, as you know, in 2 or 3 weeks, it came back in just a beautiful yard. But the trust in Dr. Buehring's weed control began to grow after that. This is a cotton field down in the bottomland where most of Dr. Buehring's plots were. Dr. Buehring learned early on that this is outstanding plot land. And he wanted to develop it so that he could put any kind of plot that he wanted in there and grow any kind of crop that he wanted to. And he did grow a diversity of crops while he was down there. In fact, early on, he began to landform this property. He bought some pans and he was able to landform that one field at a time. And now this is some of the best plot land that we have in the entire Memphis system. uniform, which is a desire that all of our agronomists have in plot land. Dr. Buehring worked with a wide variety of industry and government groups. This is a picture here with he and W.R. Thompson, and they were discussing a project that he was involved with Dr. Thompson. But he was involved in just about every or worked with just about every chemical company that ever had a sale in Mississippi, and he worked with a lot of government agencies like ARS, and this was just one example here. Dr. Buehring had a lot of graduate students over the years. This is a slide here with he and Alan Blaine. At that time, Alan was assistant superintendent, senior research agronomist. Most of you here know Alan Blaine. Alan has put on a couple of pounds since this picture, but he was talking with Dr. Buehring about some wheat stubble burning and as one way of dealing with problems associated with wheat left in the field. He had other graduate students too that you may know. Dennis Reginelli, who's our area agronomist here, Malcolm Broom, Brad Burgess, or some other grad students. And this is not all the grad students he had, but these are some that you know. And Alan Blaine got both his MS and PhD working under Dr. Buehring. I want to talk a little bit about Dr. Buehring's management of his support staff. He was the most efficient manager of anybody I've ever been around working with his support staff. One of the things that he was known for was his list, and it was kind of a joke. When Dr. Buehring left town, go off to meetings, he left several lists with his support staff. He'd have a list if it didn't rain, he'd have a list if it didn't rain, both ways. So if it rained, they had to switch lists. If it didn't rain, they had the original list. But he was so organized, and he was really good at organizing the activities of his support staff. This is another example of Dr. Buehring's organization skills. These are flags, and he used flags a lot. He loved these flags because he could use them to indicate various plots, treatments, varieties, etc. And I want you to notice the straight line of those flags. He wanted everything organized. And that's to his credit. A very organized person could get a lot done. These are some of the plot land down in the bottoms, and you can see the diversity of crops there. But I also wanted you to see the clean plots, the clean alleyways, the clean turn rows. It was just professional looking always during the growing season and even before. This is Dr. Buehring working on a planter, and I was trying to illustrate here that he was never afraid to get his hands dirty. He would get out with his support staff in working with the equipment, trying to get the equipment calibrated, sprayer calibration. He was there. Worked a lot of hours after 5 o'clock, weekends, and this was kind of the norm during planting and growing season. Now, he did take care of his support staff. He'd give them time off. But when there was a need for planting, when there was a need for spraying, when there was a need for harvest, he worked in those hours. Another thing I wanted to illustrate in this slide here, that tractor. During the off-season, Dr. Buehring would ask his staff to wax the tractors. Now, not a lot of folks never heard of waxing tractors, but he would do it. And about every 5 years, we'd have an auction. And when people would come to that auction, they would look for Dr. Buehring's tractors because they knew that his was taken care of, and they would look so much better than most of the tractors that we had in the auction. This is a slide at a field day, and Dr. Buehring never had an extension appointment, but I'm telling you, he did a lot of extension type work. The people wanted to communicate. The farmers wanted to communicate with him. He had a group of farmers that would call him on a routine basis and get advice from him. So he did a lot of extension work even though he didn't have an extension appointment. Another field day slide here. And this is some of the industry partners and producers, and they wanted to come to his field days. They wanted to communicate his research findings. They wanted to learn firsthand some of the findings of his research and how they could apply it in their operations, and also educate other people. Dr. Buehring also was known for his collaboration. This is Dr. Jason Kreutz here at a field day, and talking about some of the plots that they had there. And he had worked with a lot of different faculty over the years. Of course, Dr. Kreutz at that time was at DREC, but there was people from other locations, people from ARS, and other industry scientists that he worked with. Dr. Buehring did a lot for facility development here at Northeast Mississippi Branch Experiment Station. The building in the foreground there is the latest new building that was built here at Verona. That's a chemical storage, pesticide mixing facility, also some seed storage in that building. But he has transformed the landscape here at Verona with the buildings. The building on the right is a shop building that was built and then expanded for equipment storage during his tenure here at Verona. But he believed in facility development. He believed that you needed to provide an environment for the staff to be productive. And that's exactly what he did in that facility development. Dr. Buehring created a wealth of knowledge in a lot of different areas. But the one area that he's really probably going to be most well known for after he retires is conservation tillage. He did so much research, and a lot of those publications that I talked about earlier were on conservation tillage done right here at Northeast Mississippi Branch Experiment Station. And this is just some of the corn stubble left in the field after he finished a project there. One of the things that I've said about Dr. Buehring's retirement is that he's going to leave a legacy, but he's also going to leave an ideal situation for a new faculty member to come to Verona and conduct row crop research. The equipment is here, the plot land is here, the facilities is here. It's a situation unmatched in any of our other locations. I like this picture on the left of Dr. Buehring. To me, this kind of illustrates the wisdom that he has always possessed. He's made some really good decisions over the years, and that was the reason for his productivity. One of the things you can always say about Dr. Buehring, he had a deep desire to serve the producers. Good example of that, in a producer advisory council meeting, just like the one we're having today, he asked, the clients asked for a variety trial in soybeans. At that time, we didn't have one at this location. And Dr. Buehring said, I can do that. And even though it was not an official variety trial location, he did it just like an official variety trial. In one article that was written by Dr. Buehring, this is what it said. Dr. Buehring is just trying to answer one question: how can we do things better? And throughout his career, he was trying to figure out how you do things better. How can you help the clients to make more profit, to improve their quality of life? Dr. Buehring never categorized people by titles, by educational achievement, by ethnic background. He saw people as they were, and he treated everybody the same. He had high ethical standards. He used ethics before he'd make every decision. He considered ethics before he'd make any decision. Dr. Buehring has made a lasting contribution to MAPUS, made a lasting contribution to Mississippi State University, and to our agronomic clients in Mississippi and throughout the United States. He will be remembered for years to come. Thank you.